But you see them walking down, taking up the sidewalk, acting like they can whip everybody. Sure, they can whip somebody who looks just like them, because that's permitted. Permitted by whom? The white supremacists. They don't care. Kill everybody in the neighborhood. So what? There's another black neighborhood gone. There's another one down the street, ready to go. What's the big deal? You better be careful about whose space you get into when you get carried away with what you can do to other black people. And what's pitiful about it is most of us know that. Very few of us don't know that. We know whose space to get into. And we know just about how much backing we have.
Shame. Shame.
Black person in handcuffs. All kinds of tattoos. All kinds of long record for being able to whip everybody since 9th grade. Standing there in handcuffs in an orange jumpsuit. In his best hairdo, saying, "Yes, Your Honor." Why don't you use the kind of language toward Your Honor that you use with the people that you encounter right there in your neighborhood? The one that you say that you're a master over. The one that you can terrorize. All the females flocking to you and halfway scared of you. Knock them around all over the place. Call them all kind of names. Why don't you call Your Honor that same name? Snatch him from behind the bench. No. See, we're great show people. Greatest show people on earth. 3 9mm, one in your sock, one in your waistband, one in your side pocket. Ready to take on the entire world in a movie. In a homemade video. Or passing a bus stop full of black people fixing to go to work. Or you can terrorize them. Why don't you take on the champ? Which usually is just 1 or 2 white supremacists who just come and say, "Now, I think you'd better behave because you're disturbing my peace. Now, if you don't think I can handle you, try me." And I haven't been on this planet forever, but I've never seen a situation on a large scale, or never heard of one on a large scale, of any significance throughout the history of the black male, because that's who I'm talking about, who didn't chicken out in a moment of real crisis. So I don't want to hear it in this stalwart Black History Month about that all-powerful black male. Because I've seen our record, particularly in the last, I'll say, just in this area of the world, 60 years. Now, we've had a few who did things the way that they ought to be done. They protested in the street. They carried signs. They talked about non-justice. Martin Luther King, people like that. Fannie Lou Hamer, as a black female, backing up black males who got out there and tried to do something that made sense, rather than just terrorize the neighbors. And that's doing what we're supposed to do from the weak position that we have. Only time we show all this bravery is when we are mistreating are the victims of racism. For the most part, some exceptions. Nelson Mandela, exception. Martin Luther King, exception. Malcolm X, exception. A substantial list, but well spaced. Well spaced. All those black males in between, usually the ones who are doing hard time, if you look at what they are charged with, most of it is mistreating, whether they're guilty or not, but most of it is for mistreating other prisoners of war, the race war, people that look like themselves.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam Rasulullah wa ba'd. In the name of Allah, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and final messenger. As to what follows, family, friends, foes, haters, and hateettes, welcome back to the Feachaz. I greet you all in peace and love and no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So before we begin, please like, please subscribe, please share. As you know, we got a lot of haters up in here. And I just want to express that this particular video will probably get flagged because we are not going to hide anything from you today. It will be graphic. So if you have any children or youngins, right, please excuse them from the room because we are going all in today. Okay. And it's going to be an eye opener. So make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, make sure you support the channel on Patreon. And I'm not sure if this video will remain on YouTube or not, this particular live. I can't tell you if it will or if it won't. But there is a high likelihood that YouTube will flag it. But we are going to do what we have to do because this is a life or death situation for us. And brushing it under the rug will not make it go away. And pretending that it doesn't exist will not make it go away. So before we begin, I want to ask y'all, have I ever told you guys the story of Miss Mary Turner? I don't think I have, not yet. I haven't told you guys the story of Mary Turner, right? I haven't mentioned Mary Turner yet, not yet, right? Correct? So before I get into this story of Miss Mary Turner on this most important subject of this breaking news that happened recently, we're going to talk about Mary Turner first because I want y'all to be cognizant of the pattern of behavior of the enemy, okay? So Miss Mary Turner, actually, let me just share the screen with you, okay? You see, they already disabled the chat on YouTube, right? But that's what they're saying, all right? But anyways, let me just share with you, okay? I can already tell that this video is going to get shadow banned from YouTube already because this whole story, right, was shady from the get-go, and you're going to see why in a minute. But before we get into the story, make sure you share. Make sure you leave your comments because before we get into the story, we're going to show you a pattern of behavior of the enemy, okay? So let me just share this with you. All right, we're going to talk about Miss Mary Turner first before we get into this. Like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. Let's go over here. One second, yo. 1 second, y'all. Let's see here. Where are we? There we go. 1 second. Okay. So Mary Turner, pregnant, lynched in Georgia for publicly criticizing husband's lynching. Her talk enraged them. Mary Turner taken to Folsom's Bridge and hanged. Okay. This is not your. I mean, anyways, all lynchings are pretty gruesome, but this one is going to be particularly gruesome. So if you have kids, just please remove them from the room. Okay. On May 19th, 1918, a white mob from Brooks County, Georgia, lynched Mary Turner, a black woman who was 8 months pregnant, at Folsom's Bridge, 60 miles north of Valdosta, for speaking publicly against the lynching of her husband the day before. What was her crime? Speaking against the lynching of her husband, who was lynched the day before. The mob bound her feet, hanged her from a tree with her head facing down, threw gasoline on her, and burnt the clothes off her body. Y'all hearing me? Miss Turner was still alive when the mob took a large butcher's knife to her abdomen, cutting the unborn baby from her body. Mind you, it's not mentioned here, but I'm going to tell you, when they did this act, okay, the unborn baby was alive and crying. This is a point that we have to mention, okay? When the baby fell from Mary Turner, a member of the mob crushed the crying baby's head with his, okay, so they mentioned it, with his foot, okay? The mob then riddled Miss Turner's body with hundreds of bullets, killing her. Y'all hearing this? Mary Turner's husband, Hayes Turner, had been lynched the day before. Hayes Turner was accused of being an accomplice in killing a notorious white farmer, Hampton Smith, who was well known for his abuse of black farm workers. Miss Smith would bail black people accused of petty crimes out of jail, and then Mr. Smith would bail black people accused of petty crimes out of jail and then require them to work off the fine at his farm. This is what we call convict leasing, a practice which is practiced up until this very day. Y'all hearing me? Sidney Johnson, a black man working to pay a legal fee for rolling dice. What was his crime? Rolling dice. Confessed to killing Mr. Smith during a quarrel about being overworked. Police officers killed Mr. Johnson in a shootout. When the news reached the white community, Mr. Turner and other black farm workers who had previously been abused by Mr. Smith were targeted and accused of conspiracy. Now, what does all of this have to do with today's topic? What does all of this have to do with today's topic? Well, I'm about to show y'all. Let me stop sharing that. And let's share another story. Shall we? Shall we share another story? Shall we share another story? Let's share another story, shall we? That was in 1918. Now it's 2022, correct? Pregnant black woman suspected of carjacking is shot 5 times by Missouri police, witnesses say. They shot 5 times, say the witnesses, and I remember seeing her hit the ground and I froze. Family, I want you to scour through the archives and find yourself any story of unarmed white women, Oriental women, Asian women being shot anytime on purpose by police. The only people that have a history of pregnant women habitually being assassinated by these devils are black people. And you can say the natives as well, okay? But I challenge you. Go look, scour the archives. Find these stories of other people groups, their pregnant women getting shot and killed. Or this, in this case, the woman survived. But we were just beginning. We're just getting started here. Okay? Watch out. We are just getting started. We're just warming up. Watch out now. This is graphic. So graphic, I mean, it's not really graphic, but according to YouTube, it'll be graphic on my channel, and they will probably flag this video. So support this channel, please, because I'm very positive that this video will either get flagged or blocked completely. Okay? Let's watch now.
They shot her. Oh my God, they shot her. Oh my God, they shot her. Oh my God, they shot her. Mama, they shot her. Oh my God, they shot her. Oh God, they shot her. Oh my God, they shot her. The man ran. She was finna cooperate. She got scared. She ran down there. They shot her. 1, 2, 3, 4. My son got on his phone too. They got her head cut while she shot guy. I'm a medical assistant guy, that ain't right. I'm a medical assistant guy, that ain't right.
Did y'all see that? So let's read the story. Okay? One second. I have the story right here. One second. Let me get it. Kansas City community is outraged after pregnant woman is shot by police. According to the Kansas City Star, an unidentified woman was shot 5 times. Listen to this. As she tried to run from police who suspected her as a potential accomplice in an armed carjacking. The woman survived, is in the hospital in stable condition. 29-year-old witness, who only went by the name Shadania, right? Shadania, told the outlet that she was at the Family Dollar with her 3 children to buy gasoline and ice cream. Officers were yelling at 2 people, a man and a woman, who were in the vehicle next to hers. Officers instructed the pair to get down, but the woman only exited the vehicle, explaining that she was pregnant. So the officers already knew that she was pregnant and was unable to get onto the ground. So she's telling the officer she's pregnant, she can't get to the ground. The man exited the vehicle and ran. Shadania claimed that the woman disclosed that there was a gun in the vehicle as she backed toward the fence in the parking lot, and as officers had their weapons drawn on this pregnant lady. Okay. Shadanya said on a May 28th phone interview with the Kansas City Star, mind you, look at the date, May 28th. This story came out today. She did not pull out a weapon on them. She didn't even have a stick in her hand, Shadanya said. The woman ran 3 steps in the opposite direction of the cops and was shot 5 times. Y'all hearing this? She continued, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I remember it because it didn't stop. They shot 5 times. I remember seeing her hit the ground and I froze. That was a video we just watched. Now, family, why should we take special importance and attention to this? We told you about Miss Mary Turner, pregnant, lynched in Georgia. Okay. There's an entire book written about the women who were lynched during the Jim Crow era. You understand? We understand that there is an international global war against black men. But why is this so important? Mind you, that happened on Friday. They are releasing this story today. Why do you think that is? Do you know why? Who wants to guess? Who wants to guess why you think that they are releasing this today? Gajepo got it on the first try. The Devils didn't have that energy in Buffalo. He got it on the first try. Y'all hearing me? In case you missed it. In case you missed it.
Yo, he gotta be a terrorist. Oh my God, he shot so many people in there. Wow. Yo. Oh. Wow. Wow. Yep.
Was he pregnant? Was he pregnant? Yes or no? You got to understand something. I want you to look at this picture that's on your screen right now. They protect our killers. You get it? These people protect our killers and they murder our heroes. Ahmaud Arbery, the only reason his killers were arrested was because video footage came out. They didn't investigate those murderers until about 2 months later. George Zimmerman never saw any repercussions for murdering Trayvon Martin. Breonna Taylor's killers, only one of them was charged for assaulting drywall of the neighbor. But there's another aspect of this, And I want to read to you from this book, inshallah. I don't know if you can see it. Right? Actually, let me stop sharing now. This book right here, The ISIS Papers by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Okay? I'm going to read to you a couple of things. Okay? The first is her definition of white supremacy. She writes, as a Black behavioral scientist and practicing general and child psychiatrist, my current functional definition of racism, white supremacy, is as follows. Pay attention now. You ready to have your mind blown? Okay. This is her definition of white supremacy. Listen. The local and global power system structured and maintained by persons who classify themselves as white, whether consciously or subconsciously, determined. Don't make a difference if you do it purposely or not. This system consists of patterns of perception, logic, symbol formation, thought, speech, actions, and emotional response as conducted simultaneously in all areas of people activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Y'all hearing this? The ultimate purpose of the system is to prevent white genetic annihilation on Earth. We talked about this on the last live, or the live before rather, where the Buffalo shooter explicitly wrote that white people are facing what? What are they facing? Somebody put it in the chat, please. What are white people facing? Y'all play too much. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, she wrote this in a book in 1991. But we're not done. Okay? A planet in which the overwhelming majority of people are classified as non-white, black, brown, red, and yellow, by white-skinned people. All of the non-white people are genetically dominant in terms of skin coloration compared to genetically recessive white-skinned people. Thank you. Thank you, Tika. He wrote explicitly in his book that white people were facing the great replacement. That's what he wrote. Not to mention the Christchurch murderer said the same thing. Not to mention Fox News says the same thing. Donald Trump says the same thing. And Joe Biden told your out of touch, obsolete civil rights, buck dancing civil rights leaders that y'all black people start better working with the Hispanics, because by the year 2040, they're going to be the majority and white people ain't going to be the majority anymore. This is what all of this is about. You're all hearing me? Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, she also writes, okay, new page, okay. I hope with this knowledge that the world's non-white people, black, brown, red, and yellow, will work more effectively to neutralize this global and most monstrous form of injustice and chaos. Y'all hearing me? Any person not interested in a definition, analysis, and deeper understanding of worldwide white supremacy must have an interest, conscious or subconscious, in maintaining the same. She has called it out like bluntly. Any person not interested in a definition, analysis, or deeper understanding of a worldwide white supremacy must have an interest, conscious or subconscious, in maintaining the same. How many times you black Muslims have heard, oh, Islam is not about race. You know, there's no color in Islam. We're all brothers. When you start bringing this stuff up, what Palestinians are facing in Palestine, black people are facing right here. And when you bring it up, all kinds of excuses. Oh, they're not Muslim. And all kind of craziness, madness. What about the slavery that's happening in Libya today? Are those Muslims being enslaved, tortured, murdered, forced into prostitution, forced into sex slavery? Are they Muslims? So here we have this particular system. And we have, basically, as black people, we're facing all this humiliation for the last almost, you could say, 476 years and counting. And if we're being real, these systems that were set up, designed for us to keep us in this humiliating state, only Allah can bring us out of it. So as a strategy, if you are not implementing as a strategy nearness to Allah to defeat these animals, sorry, astaghfirullah, I shouldn't call, it's not really good to, insult the creation like that. You get me? So I apologize to the animals. These shayateen, okay? Animals never did nothing like this to us. My apologies to the animals. Nearness to Allah requires fasting Mondays and Thursdays, waking up Qiyam al-Layl, memorizing Quran. And we talked about a most important ingredient of stepping out of this humiliation, which is staying on code, having a code of conduct. The code of conduct for us is already written. When you find these biscuits and bones talking about, why are you always about this black stuff? But they call us first to march in their protest for Syria, Rohingya, Uyghurs, Palestine. They call us first. Because of the black struggle, they are here. Y'all hearing me? Because of the black struggle, they are here. And yet they don't got no smoke for the white supremacists right here. It is not befitting of somebody of intelligence to come up with emotional responses to biscuitry. Your best response is your 2 raka'at, your memorization of the Quran, and staying on code. That is your best response. Y'all hearing me? I want to show you all something. This is Mary Turner. I want you to look at this picture right now. I believe she was 19 when she was lynched. Pregnant. Her belly sliced open with a butcher knife. Her crying baby. Head stepped on. 1918 this happened. Not that long ago. And people want to tell you like this is ancient history. Let me explain something to you. White supremacy, racism isn't the fringe. It's the norm. It's the usul. The whole reason that black people are here in the West today is specifically because of their blackness. Racism. Race as a social construct did not start until the late 1400s. That was the first time you started hearing this name called race in Spain. That's where it started, raza, when the Spanish were doing the Inquisitions in Spain. Why were they doing the Inquisitions? Muslims were ruling Europe for almost 800 years at the time. What kind of Muslims? Black Muslims from Africa, the Moors. Europeans found the printing press. They started spreading knowledge like crazy because the Muslims did not accept the printing press because they wanted to be traditional in their sawaf and whatnot, their Sufism and their madhabs and whatnot. This spread knowledge throughout Europe. And when Europe was in a crisis, a financial crisis, they said, we're going to kick the Muslims, the black people, and the Jews out. That's what the Inquisitions is about. And then they started this thing called the pure blood theory, where you had to prove that you were pure blood. You're both from your mother's parents, your grandparents on your mother's side, and your grandparents from your father's side. They both had to be pure blood. This all started in Spain. Around the same time, Christopher Columbus was traveling the world to find our roots around Muslim Ottoman territory towards India. He had a theory about the world being round. So maybe if we can avoid these Muslim lands, we can find our own route to India. He ended up in what is today known the West Indies because he thought he landed in India. That's why it's called the West Indies. At the same time, for the first time, black Africans offered Portuguese slaves into Europe. All this is happening at the same time. And the Portuguese are looking at these slaves and how different they are from themselves. And they're saying, you know what? Having these slaves is kind of good. And Pope Innocent issued a religious, you can say verdict, right? Because he's the Pope of the Catholic Church, saying that black people are the cursed seed of Canaan, right? Taken from the Bible directly, and they are supposed to be enslaved to their brothers, i.e., white people, perpetually. This is the first time in history that slavery as a racial construct started. Race coming from a rata, meaning race, like a foot race, a race to the top. That's how it all started. Racism is the usul. When white people were traveling around the world and they start seeing that, wait a second, everybody in the world isn't white. And they start seeing how vast the world is. They implemented divide and conquer strategies. I don't know if you've ever seen this book. Let me just get it for you. This book, The Prince by Machiavelli. These are the strategies they infuse on the entire planet. And they've been doing it with mastery ever since. And so that's why your countries are considered third world countries and European countries are not. You get it? And it is shameful that we still have to keep giving you these history lessons. Because history is repeating itself over and over and over again. And you think we're just making this stuff up. But we're bringing you receipt after receipt after receipt, or showing you from their own literature. Anthropology was a study to show and to prove to the superiority of the white race over other races. They would measure Africans' heads. Okay? In the Congo, I believe they severed 15,000, I can't remember, of Africans' heads. Severed. In order to do a new science called anthropology to show that the black race is closer to monkeys than to humans. You're hearing this. That's what that was about, criminology, the study of criminals. It was invented by a man named Caesar. I can't remember his name. It's slipping my tongue right now. Italian guy. He essentially said that you can know a criminal by the way he looks. So if he looks black, yeah, you can guess he's a criminal. You get it? It's the asl, it's the origin. It's not the fringe. And it has never, ever, ever, not one day been the fringe. And the reason why you find this polarization that is spreading rapidly throughout all these Western countries is because the numbers of white people are being depleted. And so now you find the rise of the alt-right, the rise of white supremacy. It never went away. It never went away. And they protect our killers because they are the same people. Get it? And so you see a pregnant black woman being shot, and you think, oh, it's the cops, it's the cops, the cops. The cops need more training. Like more training is going to prevent these race soldiers from killing black people. It's the training that they got to begin with that has empowered them to be comfortable enough to shoot pregnant black women, to shoot unarmed black men. You're looking completely at this all wrong. White supremacy is and always has been a global system. And if you look at the systems throughout the world, it is copy paste. If you look at the apartheid system, that is the same as the Jim Crow system, which is the same as the segregation system, which is the same as the apartheid system that you see in Palestine today. Copy, paste, international. What you see it happening in Israel with the Palestinians, they can just go shoot up arbitrarily Palestinians anytime. It's been happening in the black community since time and hasn't stopped. I just saw a documentary recently in Belize, little old Belize, small island. Okay? Small little tiny island. They have Bloods and Cribs in Belize, if you can believe that. Who is bringing drugs into the black community? Who's bringing guns in the black community? Which black community produces their own guns? Which black community produces their own crack and coke? That's how this system works. So unless you are dedicated to a code of conduct, it's just going to continue. We are facing a crisis today, and a massive economic crisis is coming today. As a matter of fact, it's already here. Where a massive education crisis is already here. And it is shocking that not more Muslims are talking about it. There is an educational crisis going on as we speak, and an economic crisis. Can you imagine 9% inflation in 1 year? 1 year? And we out here acting like ain't nothing going on, comfortable. Who is going to be locked out of the economy first? It is not about the police. It is not about the judicial. You don't have to fight the police. You don't have to fight the judicial system. You have to fight white supremacy, and you're not going to do it by being bottom feeders and staying off code. Our condition is the way it is because of the enemy, not despite of it. Either what they say is true, that black people are like inherently inferior, they're an inherently inferior race, and we have the stats to prove it. They do the worst in education, they do the most in crime. Either all of that is true, or what Allah says is true, or what the Prophet Muhammad said is true. There's no superiority of the white over the black or the Arab over non-Arab except through taqwa. It can't be both. So if you understand this concept, then you're going to understand exactly who the enemy is. Anyways, 1 second. I want to read something. One more thing from this book here before we close out. Okay. This book here, 1 second. It is The 48 Laws of Power. Okay, by Robert Greene. I bookmarked it, so give me 1 second. Here we go. All right. Listen, okay? You're thinking you have to switch the way that you think, because the way that we look at them is not the same way that they look at us at all. And the quicker you understand that, the quicker you understand what you're working with here, the quicker we can overcome this. Okay? So anyway, he writes, many people spend time studying the properties of animals or herbs. How much more important it would be to study those of people with whom we must live or die. Anecdotes and feelings and whatnot is not going to help us. We have to look at the reality of the situation. We have more than enough evidence to know what these people are about. And anybody who's denying it, it's better to see them clearly for who they are. You understand? An understanding of people's hidden motives is the single greatest piece of knowledge you can have in acquiring power. I'll repeat. An understanding of people's hidden motives is the single greatest piece of knowledge you can have in acquiring power. These people are telling you because they can't hold it back anymore, right? Great replacement theory. Okay, Frances Cress Welsing told you way back in the day, starting from the 70s, she was telling you that these people are worried about white genetic annihilation. That's why they're acting like they are. Get it? It opens up endless possibilities of deception, seduction, and manipulation. Okay? And this right here is so important. This one quote I'm going to quote for you is so important for you to understand. Because Black people are very easy to manipulate, incredibly easy to manipulate. And we've been easy to manipulate since slavery times. Since we started, going to the Black church. And as we mentioned before, many times on this channel, the masjid has become the Black church. They become mouthpieces for political opponents to purport their ideas in the masjid. The other day, or not the other day, yesterday actually, my daughter, she sent me this. I was shocked. Out here in Ottawa, there's a masjid out here. Okay. They had a liberal MP come to the Jummah and give a talk before the Jummah. Y'all hearing me? Liberal MP. This liberal MP who's thanking this big, massive masjid out here in Ottawa, I won't mention any names, was thanking those people. And you know what? The same liberal MP is an open, proud member, card-carrying member of the LGBTQ with a partner who is a tranny. They put him on the minbar. This is what's happening with the masjids. In black society, mind you, this masjid is not Black, but we understand that the South Asian community, they're very happy to participate in white supremacy. Too happy. Proud and happy. You understand? You have imams and stuff making entire videos, the obligation to participate in democracy and stuff. You can't make this stuff up. So this is what we come to. Anyways, this point I want y'all to understand, particularly the Black brothers and sisters. Never discriminate as to whom you study and whom you trust. I'll repeat that. Never discriminate as to whom you study and whom you trust. If there is ever a reason why Black people are very easy to infiltrate, so simple. I mean, it's like copy and like I said before, copy and paste strategies. Like with Black people, is very easy. If you're in the masjid, bring an Arab. Bring an Arab. Dress him up in a shmag and an igal. Let him talk Arabic. Have somebody translating for him. That's it. Khalas, you're done. If you're Sufi, bring in an Arab. Dress him up in those turbans and whatnot. Translate for the people. You're done. You're finished. Make them say those words that the Sufis say. Always with the kalam. Very easy. So simple. Then involve the people, the general people, in some sort of random fitna that has nothing to do with anything anyways. Has nothing to do with your Jannah, has nothing to do with your Nar, has nothing to do with anything. Let the people, be involved in a fitna. Recently, I've been getting flooded with these messages about Sheikh Uthman Farouk being refuted and stuff. And I'm like, what you want me to do with this? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? Are you serious right now? Like, how many times have I taught you about the tactics of the enemy? This is clear tactics of the enemy. If anything, they showed these people, they just showed their colors. They're infiltrators. They legit showed their infiltration colors. What more do you want? If anything, if we taught you anything in this channel, you should know that the people making these weird refutations, and it is incredibly weird. It's what isn't even a refutation, really. It's just like Kila Wakala, Kalam, you know? That should tell you that those people are infiltrators. Why are you bothering me with this? You see what I'm saying? You should know that by now. But that's what they do. Very easy to dupe Black people for nonsense. But if you understand this, you don't discriminate as to whom you study and to whom you trust. If you understand that right there will alleviate so many problems. Anyways, we're going on for almost an hour. Jazakumullah khair. Thanks for everybody who participated. Like, subscribe, share, leave comments, support us on Patreon. I'm pretty sure that this particular video will be flagged, so please support us on Patreon. Subhanaka wa bihamdik wa shada li ant wa astaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.